Appreciate that.
So the point of all this Callaway talk is that Leanne came to me and said, hey, listen, you got to check out Ann Harper, and I did.
And you said, I love Ben Harper.
No, I did, and then I was no longer confused and realized it was Ann.
Yeah.
So Ann's joining us now, and we're going to talk to her about her record, and she's going to play a song for us. Now, you're from Alabama, correct?
I'm originally from Birmingham.
Wow. What part of Birmingham?
Inverness area.
Oh, yeah. It's a nice area.
Very nice area. Down 280. Of course,
That's
traffic. Right. What a headache.
Enough to drive anyone out of Birmingham, which it did.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, not by choice.
Right. You were a child.
I remember crying.
Yeah.
Every time we would come home, I would cry.
When you had to leave. And you went to Mobile.
My cousins were here, so.
Or the Mobile area.
The Mobile area.
Daphne.
Mm-hmm. Is it the most humid place on the planet? It is pretty humid down there.
Now, cool thing about Daphne, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about this, but Daphne, of course, is the Jubilee city because of this thing where a bunch of marine life die all at the same time, and you go out and you scoop them up. Tell us about that. What is that?
There's basically a lack of oxygen in the water. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that's right.
In science class.
Yeah.
But there's a lack of oxygen in the water.
All at one time.
Yes.
And it happens like in the middle of the night, and there's like some old lady who like tells everybody like, "Oh, it's Jubilee." Isn't that right?
I never know. It's like a freak. It's a freak of.
It sounds like I'm making this up, but I'm not.
It's
and people get buckets and they run down to the water and they scoop up all the dying animals they can and eat them.
That's what I was going to ask, if they ate them.
That's right.
I would never eat anything that came out of that bay.
Right.
But that's just me. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about this. This is your first album to put out. I guess it's an EP. Now, listen, you're not an old person by any means, but you're also not like 16.
I'm not young, exactly.
Well, no, you are young, but you're not like 16. So why now? What took this amount of time to put out a record?
I think it's growth as a person and growth as an artist. And I felt like now I felt like myself, like it's the most comfortable time for me to do this.
Right.
And also, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old. I've got to do
Got to
this.
do this before.
Well, but you're not getting old now, Ann.
Yeah, so that's what I told myself.
You're sitting right here across from us. You're not getting that old.
So what have you been doing up to this point? You've been playing shows? And
I've been playing shows, writing. I feel like I'm a perfectionist, so I'm always trying to strive for something greater. But it's time to start putting it out there.
Yeah, that's good. Being a perfectionist, I think, is a difficult thing to be if you are someone who records music. Because every time I sit down to record a song, I'm like, ooh, this is going to sound just like this. And it never does. It always
sounds like that awful version of the Final Countdown.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Molly. You're talking about the beautiful song we play at the end of the show, maybe?
Y'all might hear it later.
Exactly. Well, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so do you find that difficulty? Do you have that where you record things and think, oh, man, this isn't what I was...
I feel like it can always be better, but you know what? You have to learn to let go.
That's
what I learned
right.
in the recording process.
Yeah. Right. And where'd you record the record?
I recorded it in Atlanta, Georgia, with a guy named Bob Chapin at Bob Chapin Sound Designs.
That sounds so familiar to me. I don't know if I ever played over there.
You're thinking of Harry Chapin?
No, I'm thinking of Bob Chapin Carpenter. Bob Chapin Carpenter. Yeah, there you go. Okay, listen, we want to have you play a song, but first I have to ask you. You were in a car wreck yesterday?
I was.
Ooh.
I was last night.
What happened?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Driving down the road.
Uh-oh. They all start like this, don't they?
Driving down the road.
They all start like this.
The good ones do.
My mother does not know about this yet.
Okay,
so
wow.
And now she does.
Yeah.
All right, so you're driving down the road. There you are.
Driving down the road.
Yeah.
And a sweetheart lady who I met afterwards.
Yes. That's the worst way to meet someone.
Turned, and I could not stop.
Not your fault.
Yes, not my fault.
Yeah, some drunk person.
But
she was not drunk. I was actually coming from a jazz piano lesson, so I was like stoked about what I just learned, and then I was like, oh.
And we know you weren't drunk. We've cleared that up.
No.
Not a big drinker.
Not this time of year. That's right. Yeah.
December.
He was doing this.